Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. Both Mom and I are grateful that you can join us for another week. And we are super excited today. We are welcoming back Dr. Christopher Macklin on with us. He's a UFO expert and paranormal conduit who shares his insights on the paranormal. He's a highly respected UFO and ET expert who brings several facets of his work: remote viewing, spiritual attacks, the deep state, ET and UFO topics. He talks about all kinds of different things. He works out of his Global Enlightenment Center in Branson, Missouri. He serves as an international client base, helping thousands of people rebalance and heal from various physical, mental, and emotional issues. His testimonials serve as an ample proof in his understanding that the life-changing experiences he is able to facilitate. He is an interfaith minister with the Esoteric Church and has a PhD in metaphysics and philosophy. And has been on our podcast a couple of times now. So welcome back. We're super excited for you to be on with us.
Yes, we are.
Oh, thanks, bless you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'd be good. Yeah, there's a lot to say. There's so many different subjects, and there's so much happening in the world. It's like, whoa.
Whoa. Oh,
Yeah.
There really was. So I'm going to kind of get it off to a start. And so I'll ask you this question. If you can talk about the off-planet races living beneath the surface of the ice in Antarctica, and what do you know about them, and how much of these are different races manipulating or controlling humanity, and what do we see that is how that's working on the surface of the Earth?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Antarctica is a key instrument in the whole planet. And of course, we're living on a small portion of the planet called what we think is Earth. That's why people talk about flat Earth, because it's like the Hunger Games. If you put a shroud around a certain area of the planet, then it's going to look flat because it's way smaller, and we think our Earth, the thing we live in is it, and it's not. It's way, way bigger than that. So, beyond the ice wall, there's a whole slew of areas way, way bigger, and there's different beings living on it. So who are they? Well, they got the Argarthians. They're a very old tribe. They live on top of, or just underneath the ice. They're not well embedded in the earth, but the Argarthians, they're very pale because, of course, there's no sunlight. They can live in extreme conditions like that. And I think, if you look at people who are albino, I think they've probably come from that race of Argarthians who, some have been thrown out if they didn't, agree with the regime. They've been let go. And so they're very like white hair, they're white skin, and all sorts of things. So I think a lot of albino people have come from the Argarthians. So who else do you have? Oh, well, we've got the Draconians, we've got the Luciferians, we've got the Anunnaki, and all these guys are after, they want to be controlling the planet. Now, we do have a firmament around our area of the planet, which is actually derived from the main point is Antarctica, but there's also a repeater point in Greenland, so it's created a whole firmament, and some of the battle of the planet is actually disabling this. It's really interesting. So because for so long they've had rituals where people have gone to view, to see them, and they've done blood ceremonies and all these horrible things that they do, which feed the crystalline system, the ancient crystalline system, to keep it going. And so what it's done is it's created a firmament, which is not good for us. It affects the pineal gland, it affects the whole planet, so we're under a firmament. It's almost like under a dome of negative energy, and you can't escape it. So the whole point of actually the Space Force is to take that down. And what they're doing is starting to break it down, which is great. So I think they're 75% it's broken down. But also, Antarctica, it does stabilize the platelets, throughout the planet. And a lot of the ley lines are all start from Antarctica and go out. So the energies in the ley lines aren't that good at the moment. So they have really kind of enslaved the planet for thousands of years. It's amazing.
Hmm. That's very
It
interesting.
is.
Is there a way that we can heal the ley lines? Like, or is that just something they're not going to correct themselves?
Well, what's interesting is that the Space Force have, I don't really realize in the US military now, they've got new weapons like laser energy weapons, like plasma energy weapons. Now, the problem is with these beings is they're very robust. You can't just use a gun on them with them. It doesn't touch them. It'll go off. It'll reflect off their scales. So you've got to have new instruments there. Also, their minds are very, very strong. So what does that mean? Well, if you have a platoon of soldiers, their mind could just disarm them. They'll just drop their guns, and just be paralyzed. Now, again, I mean, it depends how strong your mind is, whether they could do that. My mind's really strong, so they couldn't do that with me, but most people it's not. So they've created new helmets where it blocks that stuff out. They've created new energy weapons where, they've created new frequency weapons where they can disable them, which is brilliant. So there's a lot of things come to light, and we have to thank the people on Greenland, which is the tall greys and the Nordics, because they're actually helping humanity in allowing them the technology so that they can take these people in Antarctica on, and they're doing it. They've broken down the firmament by about 75%, I think, up to now. So it will eventually be gone. That's why rockets, if you fire a rocket off this planet, if it hits the firmament, it'll explode because it's an energetic field where you can't get through it. So once this has been broken down, you'll be able to go anywhere.
Interesting. So then there is helpful other beings out there that are going to help humanity, then is what I heard you saying as well.
Oh yeah, I mean we've got the Palladians. They're down in Antarctica helping out as well, but of course they're not mixing with the satanic ones. There is a Luciferian, chamber, which is Lucifer's chamber, and it's a massive dome chamber beneath the ice wall. It houses crystalline resonators, and that's where the firmament is derived from. And like I say, blood rituals and horrible things, sacrificing things, you don't want to go into that because it doesn't matter. But they're torturous. But that energy, that loose energy, feeds their crystals, which feeds the whole firmament. So yeah, it's really interesting.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
So what is their purpose then for being here if they're just wanting to create all of this chaos and negativity, or is what their purpose is?
Well, I think their biggest purpose, I mean, when the anarchy came along, they had alliances with the Draconians and the Luciferians, and the whole point was to create a race of slaves, where they could feed off the money, they could feed off the loosh, the negative energy. If you think about this planet, you think, well, we're all slaves to it. I mean, I'm not now, but I used to be. I used to be in the Matrix, and I used to go to work, you know, do some work, get paid once a week, go to the store, rinse, repeat. And you're a slave to the system because, of course, then they say, oh, well, you got paid, for example, $2,000. Well, a third of that's going in taxes. It's coming back to us. Thank you very much. And the whole thing over a period of time, I think it's just since 1903, the first private Western Bank came in, and then the second one was, I think, 1974. And of course, the third one is just way bigger. I mean, it's huge, but the private Western Bank, the Federal Reserve, all this sort of stuff, nothing to do with government. It's just the bankers like the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and all these people have got together and they've created a debt note. So the dollar bill's a debt note. And I don't know whether people know this at home, but if you look on the front, it says, I promise to pay you $1. I don't know whether it does now. I think they've taken that off. But it's a debt note. So as soon as you get paid, your $2,000 or whatever you get paid, you put it in your pocket. You're paying interest on it whilst you're walking home, which is called taxes. So what they're doing is they've got a system where they can, enslave us. They can make us low vibrational. I mean, we're supposed to be spiritual human beings. We're not supposed to be enslaved. We're supposed to really just focus on our spirituality, growth, and everything else, meditation and things like that. But Instead, no one's got any time because it's difficult to live. Because as that, when you have a private central bank, of course, it's a debt note. Um, you're not creating income, in the country or whatever. So what happens is you just borrow more money and more money and more money, and you get more into debt to the tune of what, $36 trillion. But it's nonsense. It doesn't make sense, and that's where inflation comes from. Inflation's coming from the fact that we're borrowing money without ever paying it back, and the more money you put in circulation, the less the dollar bill is worth. Since 1974, it's lost its value by about 3,000%. So it's now, in 74, it's worth $1. Now it's worth 3 cents. That's why you need an absolute load of these bills to buy anything, so because they're worthless. So that whole system's changing. It's really good.
Yeah. Is there a way that we as humans or in our lifetime that we will see these other races that are trying to create this negativity? Will we see them be erased, or is this something that we're going to be battling for a while?
No, I think they're erasing them now. Now they've got the technology, they can erase them. And that's, so Greenland, that's why, Trump's been so interested in Greenland, not for he doesn't care about the minerals, he cares about the control of the whole planet. And one of the things that they're doing is they're going to create a golden dome, which is going to be over the Northern Hemisphere, including the USA and everything else. Why do you need that? It's to stop these beings coming back in the future, because when they're low vibrational, if you've got a 432 hertz based frequency, which is a God frequency, and you've got a dome, these things can't get through it because they're low vibrational. So it'll actually block out all the negative beings. It'll allow the good guys, the benevolent ones, they'll be able to come through straight away. But the malevolent ones, it'll block them out. And it's going to do a lot more as well. It's good for human beings. So that was their whole plan from Greenland, create a golden dome so we're protected from off-planet negative beings. Where, it's a good energy, so it's going to feed us instead of harm us. And, eventually the ley lines, once they've stopped the Antarctica crystalline structures, once they've destroyed them, which they're doing, then you won't get that negative energy. And one of the projects I have is to create the Pyramid Project, which is happening here in America. They're off-planet pyramids. One's 999.99 feet tall. One's 666.66 feet tall. One's 333.33 feet tall, and they'll be on a golden curve. The biggest one will be on a juncture of a ley line, which will feed amazing energy and blow out all the satanic A symbology and B energy from the ley line. So that's one of the big projects we're doing.
Hmm. Well, that sounds pretty interesting
Yeah.
project to do. So will projects like that and this golden dome, will that help raise the God vibration for people to be able to start living at a different level than we are now?
Oh yeah, I mean, at the moment, I mean, you can feel it. This planet, the vibration, well, this area of the planet, the vibration is terrible. People are. I mean, I've noticed over the last, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks, the level of anxiety in people has just shot through the roof.
Yes.
And a lot of it's from the collective, and it's outside. People are struggling, they're losing their houses, they don't know what to do, they're feeling discombobulated. And also, the human resonance is off the charts. For the last week, they can't measure it because it's beyond the scope of the sensors that measure it. So it's kind of just whited out. So it's off the charts at the moment. What does that mean? Well, it means you're probably experiencing maybe a bit of diarrhea. You're certainly experiencing probably aches all over the body, like in your chest or in your spine, because what it's doing is as your vibration increases, all the old, what would you call it, emotions, and traumas that you've been through, that you thought you dealt with, are coming up again. And people saying to me, I mean, I work with about 2,000 people. I mean, they're saying, I thought I dealt with that trauma. And it's coming back up again. Well, of course, because the God energy is cleansing you of all this trauma and that, which is great, but difficult to go through. And our cells are becoming crystalline instead of carbon, so that changes everything. That's why people are getting diarrhea or constipation, A lot of things are happening. Yeah.
Mhm. Interesting. So with the pyramids, I've always been kind of intrigued because I think there's some kind of special energy in that particular shape. Would you agree with that? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like take for example the Giza pyramids. Ours are being made of something else. I'll talk about that in a
Mhm.
minute. But if you take the Giza pyramids, they're made of what? Limestone. You think okay, but they used to have a moat around them. And so what happens is the limestone absorbs the water, so that goes up the sides of the pyramid. So what you've got is a wall of water. Now I don't even know this, but crystal vibrates the same frequency as water, the same frequency as gold. That's why monatomic gold, when people take it, is good for you because it raises your vibration. So you've got a wall of frequency. So on the top, they used to have a 7 or 8 foot crystal Merkaba. Now, if you don't know what a Merkaba is, here's one here. Merkaba, and so it's an 8 pointed star. So they had it sitting on top, and what happened is that is got 8 points in. It actually picks up ether energy and then it fires it down the pyramid. That's why when you're in the king's chamber, when that was on it, it's been taken off a long time ago, but when it was on it, when you sit below it, you're going to get filled up with energy. So, and the walls would resonate the energy down the walls as well. So it's a very powerful instrument. And they were on the ley lines, which they're not anymore. The ley lines do move. So yeah, that's the way they worked, and that's why if you say about if you gaze on the Ark of the Covenant, you'll get burned. Well, the crystal, if the sun was behind it, people used to get burned. So what they did to eradicate that is they basically covered it with gold leaf so that you didn't get the reflection and people weren't burned. So the Giza pyramids are kind of shut down. They still work, but they're nothing like they used to be. So what's ours made of? Pure moldavite. Now, there's not enough moldavite on this planet, so where they're being built in the 12th dimension by the Arcturians, and there'll be actually time-space continuum switched to down here when the time's ready. And people say, well, when are they coming? Well, when we get peace. And I don't mean just peace like no wars. I mean peace amongst people. If you look at this planet at the moment, you look at different countries, even here, there's so much separation. You've got LGBTQ plus, you've got trans versus non-trans, you've got white supremacists versus black. You've got all this separation, and it's so sad to see because we're all human. We've all got human DNA. Who cares about the color of your skin? And I think once we integrate into that, and the liberals are obviously, sprouting off about what they sprout off, and I think once we get peace, then real peace, where people just love each other, then is the time they'll put the pyramids down. But certainly in the tumultuous energy and things at the moment, they're not coming down anytime soon because they'd be hijacked, by military, by whatever. So we
Right.
do need agreement from the governmental system here, which I know we would get, but what happens if that changed? They'll be confiscated, and they're the people's pyramids. They're not mine. No one owns them. They're here for the people. So it's pretty exciting. The project is very exciting. They're very powerful. They've got ancient technology in them, and when they bring them down, they're going to really amp up the planet's ley line energy. So yeah,
That's good. Sounds like that will be really magnificent and a good time for humans as well, right? Because if we can get that, like you said, this piece where we don't need all these labels, that we can just live as one collective group that, we don't have to have this separation would be
well, we don't,
amazing.
Christians versus Muslim versus all this. Well, who cares? I mean, to me, there's one prime creator. There's many teachers who come down. I love Jesus' teachings. I'm not a Christian, but all he ever did is say, don't judge people, love them. You can set boundaries. Do you want people who are going to berate you in your place? You can still love them. Well, bless them. They've got a lot of trauma, so you just need to go over there. And stay out of my space. But I love you. And that's okay. It's
From
okay to set
afar.
boundaries. Yeah, from afar. Yeah,
Way
I've got
far.
my binoculars. I love you. So, and people need to set boundaries. I mean, I find it. I don't know about you guys, but nowadays I find it difficult to go out because with your involvement, and there's a lot of people who aren't involved. Of course, I'm not I'm not judging them in any way, shape, or form, but if you go out, they start talking about people behind their back. I went the other day to a place locally, and I was having a beer with the guy who runs it, and he's really sweet. And then somebody came in talking about somebody behind their back and da da da. And I was listening to this, going, oh no. And then somebody else came in who I know talks behind people's backs. Oh, I think it's time to go. And I just left because I don't do that sort of thing. If I'm going to talk to somebody, I'll talk not behind their back, in front of them, and I'll, put something out because I'm always about truth. And if they get reactive to it, that's okay. I love you. Bye bye. And it's okay. And I think
Totally
if
understand.
people if people are getting that experience, I always tell. It's funny because I had a lady who went out with. She went out with 6 friends, and they're having drinks, and she just told this lady a truth, and people they label you as intense because you're telling them the truth, and they're all getting pissed off like, wow, how dare you? And this woman turned around, how dare you? I demand an apology now. And she goes, for what? For telling you the truth? How can I apologize? Anyway, she didn't speak to her for about 3 days, then got over herself. But she said, how do I deal with that? I said, just love her from a distance. She's got a lot of trauma. You've triggered the crap out of her, and she's getting all reactive, and just love her. And just, oh, bless her, she's got so much trauma, and just love people and get some understanding. That's the thing. Don't react because there's no point. I never react to anything. I don't know about you guys, but if people start berating or something, oh well, never mind. Is my favorite saying. Never mind. Moving on. And what can you say?
Yeah,
But if you can
Well,
get to that level,
it
exactly.
does.
Yeah. And I think it's great. Like when you're put in that situation, and I think that's a good learning lesson for people is when you're put in a situation where you're not being true to who you are. So in that situation where they're talking about people and that's not part of your vibe, removing yourself to say, well, you go have a good time, and I'm going to go over here where it feels more safe and peaceful for me.
Right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm all about peace. I mean, I had somebody who I knew, and I'm not going to go into it too much, but uh, they started berating the girls in the office because the OCD and whatever, and we had a situation where they were quite nasty to them. So I phoned this person up and I said, I've got to tell you, you've overstepped my boundary now. And I just pointed out, I said, you're not going to treat my ladies in the office. They're so loving and kind, and they really are. They're the best girls you could ever want. And they help everyone, they work full time there. They help everyone with different things like getting healing sessions or even if they need something else. And, I said, and so I'm demanding an apology, and I demand one right now. And this lady just bursted, well, I had a bad day. So you projected your bad day onto my staff. It's not okay. So she did, she apologized. So I do call people out on it. And it's not to be mean. It's just, I don't tolerate bullshit, You know what I mean?
Same.
Because it's not okay, but it's okay to be kind, but sorry, you've overstepped a boundary. I want an apology right now. And it came, so I think it's a good lesson to learn. I think the other lesson as well is that, if you're getting reactive, what's within you that you haven't healed that trauma, So you always have to look within you, like, okay, why are you getting reactive? Because this person's got a load of trauma. Well, you're getting reactive just the same. So what do I need to work on to get rid of that? So I could just be like a complete peace. And I am a complete peace. I love life,
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this life on the planet amazing? Now let me see. Not really, but I always tell the clients, you're gonna have the passion, you're gonna have that burning passion. Oh my God, it's amazing. And the answer is no. But if you can stay balanced right now in this life, you're doing incredible because people are losing it left and right. So I'd say to you guys out there, yeah, if you stay balanced, keep working on yourself, the trauma, and yeah, it's all good. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, within your healing sessions, how do you like work on people? Like, are you working on their energy bodies to kind of bring them back into balance, or how does your healing sessions work that you do?
well, what I do is put them in portals. So I was born as a Melchizedek being. I don't even remember that. So there's 5 of us here, and so I work with the Melchizedek beings. They're from the ultimate dimension. So what I do is when I'm working with somebody, I put 8 portals from the ultimate dimension around them, close it off underneath them. And then what I do is put 27 esoteric Merkabah fields around them. and then bond the portals, those 8 points, into the 8 points of the Merkabah field. What does that mean? Well, A, the energy can come through the ultimate dimension, and B, the beings can come through as well. And so they can do psychic surgery. Like if you've got a tumor, they can start breaking it down. We've got different energies we use for either tumors or different parts of the body. They can go in and, they've got a thing where they can build up, with a very thick energy, they can build up muscles, or like if you've got a weak bladder and you're coughing or leaking urine, they build up the ligaments, tendons, muscles around the bladder itself, and sphincter muscle. They can work on neurochemical balance. A lot of people got anxiety because, especially for starseed people, because you take things personally. You know what I mean? I used to take things personally, and then I suddenly discovered the couldn't give a shit-ometer. And when that blew up, and it's not that I couldn't give a shit about people, it's just that I don't care about what people think of me, because that's their deal, not yours. And that's because of their trauma. And once you learn that, and once you get into the space where you've released enough trauma that you're a good person and you're doing your best. Are you guys perfect? Am I perfect? Well, let me ask them. That'd be a nope. But we're doing our best to navigate the planet, And I think if you're comfortable and happy with yourself, yeah, I'm doing my best. Then I think you can start loving yourself, and therefore, if people start berating, no, you're not doing that. I'm a good person,
Yeah.
And that's important. And it's not ego; it's just knowing within that gut feeling. Yeah, I'm a good person. Doing my best on planet Earth. Is it perfect? Of course, it's not. But this is the best we can do with this third dimensional classroom we're in, which is pretty crazy.
It is.
It is
pretty
pretty
crazy. Do you think that we will start as humans evolving into the other dimensions? Like, I know we're playing around in them, but will we actually evolve to be in these other dimensions?
Yeah, I think we're going to raise the vibration. Fifth dimension is where we're going. But you can't maintain, your body there unless you become crystalline, and because it's a high vibration, and carbon resonates at low vibration. So that's happening pretty quickly. I think also we'll be able to go off planet. The technology they have in Antarctica, and also Greenland, the tall greys and the Nordics, they have the same technology. That's why they've been helping our US government. And thank God, and I thank them for it. Thank you guys if you're watching. Maybe you're not, but probably, yeah. Come on, Nordics and the tall greys, start watching the. But I thank them because it's given us the technology, and no one else has it. So it's given us power through strength, which means that you can take down cabal. Because don't forget, people think the cabals like the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all these people, Bilderbergs, whatever, and it's not. They're just puppets. The government's just puppets. The real people who are in charge of the cabal are the reptilians and the Luciferians and all those. And so, you need to take those out if you're going to stand any chance of taking this planet back. And we're doing it. We're really doing it. So it's quite exciting. And obviously they live underground. The Luciferians, like I say, Lucifer's got this system there. They've also got like beings in they've got beings in stasis, pods where they're preserved with I think it's a silicate type substance where they've got all sorts of they've been doing DNA experiments down there. Got some horrible things like they do in Iraq and everywhere else. They've all been at it. They've all been at this DNA manipulation to see whether it can create super soldiers or dog men or bat like a person who's got bat wings, whatever, and they've created some really crazy stuff. So yeah, so I think, but I think the luckily for the Nordics in Greenland, they've now opposed the draconian light structures, which is part of the Luciferian. So that means they're not working with them anymore. That means that node to power up the grid in Greenland is finished. So little by little, it's breaking down. And that's the things we need to worry about, silly things like these silly wars and whatever. They're not silly. Of course, you've got terrorists, but they're all part of the cabal, creating wars to make money and create fear so they can feed off the loosh. And that's a big thing, Yeah.
So what do you think we can do as humans to I guess
Make it better.
foster, yeah, make it better, foster it, and get us to this spot quicker.
Well, I think we just got to focus on that. We're taking back the planet. We're part of the planet. But I think eventually we'll see the whole planet as a whole, which is way, way bigger. Multiple times bigger. And I think once Antarctica's fallen and everything else, I think we're going to see a lot of things change. We'll have the technology there, of course, as well. So the biggest thing is to focus your mind and manifest. Like for example, free energy. Tesla created it. And he got downloads from his off-planet beings. If you have a big coil, and you just sit it there, it's gonna be injected with ether energy. If you then transform it down, you can have free energy in your house. It's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. They've got Stargate technology now. What's Stargate technology? Well, literally, you have a frame in your house. And I've seen the example. I haven't seen the frames, but I've seen the ability to move objects from like one end of the thing to the other. I went with she was a princess from Asia. I went for a meeting with her in New York, and it was actually near Central Park. And I went in there. They had a CIA guy. He goes, I want to share this technology. And he had a briefcase. Didn't show me what it was. He said, I'm going to be that vase there to over there. And it happened.
No
Now
way.
I know about the off-planet, what do they call it? Where they get people and go onto Mars. How do they do that? They use Stargate technology. They switch them in time and space to, different space, same time. And so they're suddenly on Mars. They go in a lift and it switches them over. And so eventually, what we'll do is we'll have in our room like just a gate and. I'll come see you guys and I'll say, well, there's one of you, Kim, give us your coordinates, So you say, well, it's 100496443, type it in and I'll walk through and hopefully you guys have made a nice cup of tea by then and it'll be there. You'll see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, the good thing about that technology, if you have a tipple, you don't get done for drunken driving because you just walk back through and you're back in your house again. So
right. That's perfect. Do you think that anybody can talk to the off-planet beings?
yes, I think the problem you've got. I think what happens is that what I've found with the Melchizedek beings is that they don't waste their time with people who aren't committed. Now, you can talk to your guides, but the off-planet beings is where your soul's from, say. If you're a starseed person, you're a big empath, chances are you're a starseed. So you need to find out who the starseed people are and where they're from. Where's your soul from? Don't ask where am I from, because you've got loads of bits of DNA from Palladians, Arcturians, Lemurians, Atlanteans, Andromedans, whatever. What you need to say is, where's my soul from? Where's my soul from? And you'll go through those whole list. And if you use a dowsing rod or whatever you use, or just use your intuition, one will really resonate. And then say, oh yeah, I'm Palladian, or in my case, I was Melchizedek. Then what you do is you need to meditate with those beings, and they don't waste their time for people who aren't committed. So, like if you meditate, I'll do 5 minutes. Oh, I'm done now. I've got to make dinner, and that's not enough. They want to see you dedicated. And when I was doing it, I was meditating for 4 to 6 hours a day.
Wow.
And I did it, I think, for about 6, 8 weeks before they really connected with me. And I remember them one day. I said, okay, guys, I know you watch me. I said, I'm in it for the long haul. So I said, I don't care how long you take. I'm right here and I'm still doing it. And then pretty soon after that, they contacted me and amazing stuff happened. And I could do some amazing things. And it was just, it was incredible. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, it always intrigues me because I'm a sky watcher for sure. So especially at night, but like I'm always out there and I'm always just like, ooh, I just want to, because I just feel like our world is so vast and the universe is so vast that it's like sometimes it's almost like I can feel them hovering just over where I am, right? And I just get that sense anyways.
Well, they do speak by telepathy. So, what you got to do is clear your mind. I say, okay, guys, and just try and clear your mind. I'm ready to receive. I remember I went to a ranch and the guy was getting into trouble with the ranch because the greys were coming through a portal, and it was a horse sanctuary. So he's looking after horses that no one wanted, and anyway, what he'd find is next morning he'd get up and one of the horses had been half eaten by the grey reticula, and that's not okay. So I actually flew there and I helped him with it. So I spent the weekend sorting out this portal. I managed to get it open. It was Sunday afternoon. I think it was about 4 o'clock, and I remember a sonic boom and the thing opened. But he actually said normally they open it at ground level and the stuff comes out through ground level. But as soon as it opened, the Actuarians were there, and they're like guardians of the Melchizedek being. So there's three craft. It was about a mile away, and they were flying from one to the other, one to the other. So I looked down. I said, "What are you guys doing there?" And I said, "Well, make sure you don't do something stupid." Because, for me, I'd walk through a portal. The problem with portals, what's the difference between Stargate and a portal? A portal is it's a natural opening, but they open them, of course, but it's got no coordinates. So if you walk through it, you don't know where you're going. Like the Hadron Collider, in Switzerland, CERN, it spins around at speed of light, whatever, because the magnetics of it, it's puncturing a portal, through this time space, but to where? And they don't know. And it's also allowing beings from that dimension as well and that place to come through here. And so that's why, well, that's why some of the science, I actually went over to Switzerland because this lady wanted me to go there and, work on it so that we can actually dismantle it. But anyway, it's apparently been disabled for 4 years, which is good. But some of the scientists, when they span it up, it got really fast. They were just disappearing, and no one knew where they went, and they never came back because, of course, they're lost in time space somewhere. They don't know where it is on some planet or somewhere. So yeah, you've got to be very careful with these things. It's not you can't just walk through portals willy-nilly because that's why when there's natural portals in you know on the planet somewhere, people go to various places, they just disappear because they've gone through the portal, they've walked through it, and suddenly they don't know where they are. Like, where the heck am I? Am I on Mars? Am I on Jupiter? And then how do I get back? And the answer is, it's but the thing is about Stargates is they're managed with coordinates. So it's Stargate, 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 Stargate. So, and I think this technology, like I say, I know the Galactic Federation, of which I chair it with two other because they're beings, will not allow any technology like that without peace because they don't want all this anger and everything else sent to other worlds. There's enough of that going on without having the human race spilling that over. And I understand it, so yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that the Bermuda just the way my brain thinks? Do you think like the Bermuda Triangle then was a portal because there was all kinds of things that went missing and
disappear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and sometimes they've come back. I mean, maybe the beings that, again, it might be managed where they've brought like, I know they've had flights and suddenly, it disappeared 40 years ago and then it's just flying and they're coming into land. Oh, can we come into land? And but it's it's like 2026. You disappeared in 84, and
Right.
and they've landed and they don't even know they've been gone. Yeah, so yeah, I think Bermuda Triangle is definitely portals around there, and you have to be really careful. Like I say, if you go through a portal, you don't know where the heck you're going.
Yeah.
If you go through a Stargate, you know where you're going because you've got the coordinates. It's going to switch you in time space to Mars. I mean, one of these days we'll be getting leaflets like, well, let's go to Jupiter for the weekend, so you pop over there and you just walk through it with your bags and welcome to Jupiter, sir. Da, 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 and, then you'll come back again. Which means that do you need aircraft? And the answer is definitely not,
Right.
If you look at aircraft, it doesn't make any sense that they've stayed the same way since the 1950s. There's no advancement whatsoever.
Yeah,
and you think, and they've got all the technology, they've got anti-gravitational, they've got everything. So, I think the new golden age is going to be golden. I think it's going to be incredible.
Yeah. What do you think the golden age is going to hit?
I think it's starting this year. I think fairly soon, I think there's going to be a transition. It's going to start with the monetary system, with the dinar, and then it'll the dinar was key, because the ancient gold and everything else. And I think now Iraq sorted out, there is peace. Well, is the peace there? There's peace as far as wars go, but it's up to the people to take back their country, and I think they will. I think they've had enough of all these terrorists and things, and so are we, and so is the UK, and so
Right.
is all these countries. They've been infiltrated, and I think it's been a good lesson for humanity how easily your country can get taken over, and I think
Yeah.
it's all reversing now. It's brilliant. So I think once we get peace, and I think we will get it, I think it's going to be very different. Yeah, and I think the technology over the next 5, 10 years, I don't think you're going to recognize this planet. I
I
think it'll be so
agree. I
different.
agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too,
Yeah.
because we've started that change, right? So that's a really good thing to see, really. So can you tell, other than putting in my coordinates for the Stargate for you to come for tea, can you tell everybody where to find you?
Where do you find me? Well, yeah, globalenlightenmentproject.com.
Perfect.
So globalenlightenmentproject.com, and if you go on there, you can phone the girls in the office. We've got great girls in the office. We could do healing. We do one-to-one. We do specialized groups where we have like 15 people on. We speak to them individually, check in with their healing, and then I do the healing after. And we have general groups, which is actually Thursday night, 5 p.m. Central Time, and Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time. And what we do is we go through most things, like cancers, spine issues, replace discs, do many different things, and that's helped a lot of people. We get probably, I would say, about 1,000 people per healing session.
Wow.
And so, that's why we're working on 2,000 plus, obviously the other things. And yeah, we've got a load of meditations. One thing, yeah, I'll do something in a minute if I can, but one thing we do have is a protocol to get rid of bioweaponry. I'm sure you know what that is. And, it's timeline splitting where it's separated out using timeline splitting. It's the only way to get it out of the body because it's off-planet technology. So that's helped a lot of people. We're on group 74. We've helped about 1,000 people up to now. So
Wow.
if you've ingested any of that stuff over the past 6 years, I'm not going to mention what it is because obviously it's YouTube. But if you ingest any of that stuff that's making you sick, then come and have a look. But one thing I would do as well, if you're experiencing anxiety, do you mind if I share a map of intent or a prayer with the people? Is that okay?
We would love that.
Right. So we've got a prayer to remove the collective energy from your emotional body, and it really helps. So I would suggest for you guys saying it several times a day because the anxiety level in the ethers is so high at the moment. So how does it go? Well, you ground yourself. You say, I am of God. I ground myself to the earth. And then get your hand near your chest and say, Dear God, this collective energy within my emotional body is not for me to process right now. Grab it, turn it around and say, therefore, I send it back to you, God, to be transmuted and dispersed in only the way you know how. We thank you, God, send you our unconditional love, so be it. Now, if you experience anxiety, it's not yours. Most of it's not yours. What I would do is say that several times a day. So when you oh God, my chest is getting a bit tight, right? Say it again. It gets rid of it, and then it'll start building up again. And people often say, "Why should we have to use the power of prayer?" And the answer is because it's satanic. I mean, even the food is contaminated with particles, with GMOs, with whatever. And we have a food prayer. Put your hands around the food, say the prayer, it'll revibrate, it'll get rid of any godlike particles. And one of the reservations, I was really proud one day, I don't like the word proud, but I was really excited because the medicine man from one of the reservations in Pennsylvania, his wife phoned me and said, Pat wants to know, could we possibly use your prayer and translate it and put it on the reservation? I said, it'd be an honor. And so he did. And so all the Native Americans like that saying the prayer. I did have the piece of cardboard. I don't know if I still got it, but it's incredible. Yeah, it's got an old piece of cardboard. He translated it, and then someone typed it up and put it on the reservation. I thought that's incredible.
Oh, that is really cool. That is super, super cool. And it just goes to show, right? Like, I think there's just something in the power of prayer that is so helpful for us to be able to communicate and to get rid of some of these things. So thank you for sharing that. We really appreciate
Yeah, we
that.
sure do.
Well,
Yeah.
the other thing as well is a lot of religions and things have been diluted to, put us into powerless victim. I mean, people say the Bible's the word of God. Well, King James Version and all the versions since Constantine, there were two pedophiles. So they've rewritten the Bible according to control and pedophilia. It's not the same, So one thing I would share, can I share this as well? Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
If you got time, I'm just trying to find, oh gosh, I don't know whether I've got it. Just looking for our website. Yeah, there it is. So if you go on the prayers, because I can't remember the whole thing, but anyway, if you go to the bottom of the prayer, it's called the powerful Aramaic translation of the Lord's Prayer. It's the direct translation. It's completely different than what you get in the Bible. And if I can read it out, it goes like this. O cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear the fruit of your mission. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with our desire. Endow us with the wisdom to produce and share what each being needs to grow and flourish. Unite the tangled web of destiny that binds us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of the present moment. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the birth, power, and fulfillment, as all that is gathered and made whole once again, so be it. That's the direct Aramaic translation from Jesus of the Lord's Prayer. Way different. I know where you enjoyed that.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, it was very
good.
beautiful. We
But
appreciate
it actually makes you kind of your hair stand on end because it's a map of manifestation, a map of intent. It's not like, oh well, you're powerless, forgive us for our sin. It's a manifestation. It's incredible, and that's what life's all about.
Yeah,
it does. Leaves you with a really good vibe.
Yeah, it did. Hair was up my arms.
Ding, yeah, all the hands that help.
It was like, woo!
Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on with us again. If you had a final thought to leave with us and our followers, what would it be?
I think it's just to maintain balance. If you've lost the spark of life, that's okay, but please maintain balance. If you're maintaining balance and you're okay, you feel okay and you feel blessed, and try and detach from people's trauma so that and work on yours so that you're not reactive to it. And if you're leading a balanced life, you're doing absolutely incredible. Never shame yourself, because it really is difficult right now to get through this transition. And we're going to come out of it. I think this year it's going to transition, and I think things are going to look a whole lot better. So
nice.
Bless everybody.
Good to
yes.
Hear. Yes.
Well, thank you, Dr. Christopher, for spending time with us.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Bob. Bless you. Lovely to see you guys. Bless you.
It's great to see you.
And
God
everybody
bless.
else, we will see you on the next one.
We will.